blazing fast, sonic speeds, right? It's all coming together, folks. Now, our next panel, they're going to be talking about building DeFi, which I know is what you all came here for, right? So we've grabbed 5 presenters here. And I'm going to work down this list here. We got Jerri from Blocmates will be moderating this panel. $24, who is the founder of Shadow. William from Rings Protocol. Esko Koivula from Hedgehog Protocol. He's the co-founder and CEO. And the head of growth from SODAX, Elise Shin. So this should be a jam-packed conversation with plenty of insights, and we're covering a lot of DeFi. So guys, I hope you enjoy. Welcome, Jerri, 24, William, Esko, and Elise.
Thank you.
Okay, building DeFi on Sonic. We only have 25 minutes. So I'm Jerri, I'm from Blocmates. We are a media company. We basically early to mostly everything. So let's start it off. Intros quickly, what you guys are doing.
My name's $24, founder of Shadow Exchange, the best exchange on Sonic.
Yep, introducing again, so sorry. William, working with Sonic, with Rings, working on data analytics and risks for the protocol.
Esko from Hedgehog Protocol. We're building a modular synthetic block space, which is basically trading and hedging your all on-chain costs.
Hello, I'm Elise. I'm from SODAX. We provide cross-chain DeFi infrastructure and also build native cross-chain applications.
Okay, so one of the things that we've noticed from last cycle is that there was a lot of functionality in DeFi, and there's a lot of excitement around DeFi, and I think this cycle, because number hasn't gone up, there's been a lot of speculation as to whether DeFi has kind of reached its peak. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'm just curious in terms of, you're obviously building for a reason. Do you feel like we've reached the peak from last cycle? Do you think the peak is still yet to come? And if you think the peak is still yet to come, what does it look like for you guys in the DeFi space as protocols?
I think we've seen it already. It's already kind of brewed a bit on Sonic. Obviously, Mr. Trump and his tariffs kind of killed things, but people want DeFi. People want yield farming. People want to interact with unique protocols. And as you can tell with Sonic, they fostered an environment where builders want to come here to build, right? And there's a lot of monetization for builders in terms of fee monetization, incentives from Sonic. So it's coming. It's brewing in the background. If you're paying attention, you'll kind of see it starting to happen. And there's a lot of collaborative stuff with us, Rings, and many of these people on the panel right now.
Exactly what I wanted to highlight is I kind of agree with you, and I think even though we've maybe seen the peak, or that's a difficult question, but what I can tell is Sonic is definitely finding a PMF or a moat in a way that they are giving exceptional support to builders on the chain, giving network effect, giving support even in the tech side, etc. And that's something you cannot replicate in many other chains. So
cool.
I would say that we have saw the peak of the use cases what we previously had. But I don't see that the peak is still in. I see that there's a lot of institutional demands, and that is totally different use cases of DeFi. So I see DeFi is very bright. I think now where we are focusing is kind of a stabilized and make the DeFi more efficient inside the industry.
Elise.
So at SODAX, because we're a cross-chain DeFi infrastructure and application provider, we are quite interested in the numbers that flow between chains. And it was really amazing to see that Sonic topped the charts in terms of capital inflow from other chains. I think it was 40 million in a 24-hour cycle. So that just shows me that there's a lot of volume moving between chains, and for ostensibly to participate in various DeFi activities on the Sonic blockchain and other chains. So yeah, I think the future of DeFi is bright.
So I think one of the big challenges with DeFi is that it's kind of considered a complicated process. You don't have this 1 or 2 step process. I think a number of researchers have determined there's like 20 steps to get access to DeFi from a central exchange, for argument's sake, if you're on-ramping and off-ramping. I'm curious from like your perspective as a protocol, is that a consideration in terms of how you interact with your users? Is it important to kind of minimize those steps, and how are you guys looking at doing that?
Oh, absolutely. It's actually one of the biggest motivators for us, especially with our UI UX. Barrier to entry is the key point for users, new users, retail, whoever it may be. If I look at your website and open your website and my brain starts to hurt, it's too much. You got to start to slow it down. Something we even have tackled recently, we pushed a new UI update, but it's all about making access easier for others. And obviously, when you talk about Sonic, we are an alt chain. And it does take a bit of work as users, as builders, as even community members to help bridge that gap for people. And as you explain it to others and you help narrow down that barrier of entry, it just uplifts the ecosystem. But yeah, as you said, it's not the easiest. It's still quite a bit of UX that we have to jump in a lot of hurdles, but it's improving all the time. You've seen it on Solana with the mobile wallet, onboarding, how easy it is to download a single app, buy your tokens, and then buy your favorite token, or for lack of better words, meme coin. I was going to say a swear word, but yeah, essentially, it's just, that's very key and very important.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Beyond that, UA or UX matters. We've been discussing also like the most important place institutions are taking more and more in DeFi, and I think what we truly believe in Rings is what is the big deal is the delegation aspect of it, and we have big beliefs in narrow banking, kind of delegating liquidity to institutions that are often better liquidity managers than retail will be, but still with respect to decentralized ethos like non-custodial solutions, empowerment of the users, etc.
Cool. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Dollars in here that it's one of the most important topics which you need to you need to already start from very beginning thinking about the user experience, because like if for example, like if Amazon or some Temu or Alibaba would have like bad user experience, nobody would buy that shit because nobody need it. It's you buy it because it's so easy just to order it, and especially when you're tackling and handling so hard subjects like DeFi, and but for adding to that, the account abstraction is doing a lot to kind of streamline the process. Account abstraction now coming to Sonic, which is a huge thing, and like through those innovations, it's easier then to us implement like different kind of solutions. If we can already like provided those tools by the ecosystem, which Sonic is now doing with account abstraction.
Elise.
Yeah, so as I've mentioned, SODAX is at its core a DeFi, cross-chain DeFi infrastructure provider. So we are obviously very much focused on this user experience, improving user experiences cross-chain. So for example, if we want to make it as seamless as possible for a user on the Sui blockchain to interact with Shadow Exchange or Rings, Hedgehog, without having to rely on third-party services like dBridge or other bridging tools that they would have to interact outside of these applications. We want them to like come to Shadow Exchange and just be already set up to bridge their Sui directly into native Sonic tokens and start interacting with the protocol right away.
Cool. Okay, so obvious question, because we're discussing DeFi and Sonic. Why have you guys chosen to build on Sonic specifically, and whatever that might be? If it's community, if it's theme, what is it primarily that you guys
I'll be
chose?
honest with you, it's easily the most performant EVM network out there. They've done a lot of strides to make state vote a thing of the past. A lot of networks harp about parallelization and their transfer circle jerk, for lack of better words, but you feel tangible smart contract execution differences, right? Anybody who's in this room who hasn't used Sonic, for fun, go on Shadow, start wrapping Sonic, and just see how many transaction bubbles you can get to stack up. I've gotten about 8, where it's just so much faster. And as a user, as a builder, you want to go for the most performant networks usually, and everything else kind of falls into place. And what also helps as well is the 90% fee monetization. For us, that's a weekly amount of 5 to 10 grand. I think 1 week we put up $30,000 of incentives from FEM. I think we're the second highest generator, and things like that with the airdrop and the support from the network. I always like to say that the Sonic team is an extension of the Shadow team. They're constantly onboarding new products to us, but it was the best network to choose. Yeah. Cheers for you guys. Absolutely. But yeah, just no-brainer for us. We've deployed just to test while we were, building, and the only thing that changed was the network we chose, and the experience was significantly worse.
Yeah, I agreed on all that. I think even beyond all that technical matters, there is also, as I've said a little earlier, like the supports from Sonic team. Naming names, no offense, but like as opposed to other chains like Hyperliquid and stuff, or where you build there, you gotta handle everything by yourself, you don't receive a lot of support and stuff. I think it is very important the way they are connecting applications, and you can see it through many aspects, but this airdrop topic is also very interesting, like with the gyms, Sonic Boom program, etc. Is, I think, much more fair for the user, much more fair for the applications, and much better to bootstrap, whether it's TVL, users, or activity in general. So, yeah.
Well, we had only one reason, like we are Hedgehog and this is Sonic, so it was just kind of a that was it. But no, I would say it's the biggest reason was like how welcomed we felt when we was interacting with them first time. We got grants from multiple different major chains, and basically we felt that with Sonic we will get, and we have got like best ecosystem support. What you can do, like if you need something, just kind of ping in the chat and you will get it. The amount of traction we have been getting after we decided to go to Sonic, and like the amount of support we will not get in any chain. That's a fact. Like the hands in approach for all the departments you want to interact with Sonic, it's just mind-blowing. So that was enough for us.
Yeah, most definitely. Whether it is artists, developers, or whatever, they always have an answer. They always know a guy. So yeah, very convenient.
Yeah, I think my personal experience interacting with the Sonic Labs team very much echoes the experiences that my fellow panelists have just shared. Yeah, like as a cross-chain protocol, like it's always a huge ramp up to like build these relationships cross-chain with various foundations of the chains that we're connected to. But with the Sonic Labs team, like they host great side events where the Sonic Labs leadership team is very much accessible to builders on Sonic. So yeah, it's been a great experience. And yeah, I guess like support for builders is already like baked into the chain with FEM as well.
So just to kind of keep the conversation balanced, is there recommendations, maybe criticisms that you have to offer to the Sonic Labs team so that they can be better and you guys can obviously get what you need, and then maybe even reflect upon what you guys feel that you need to do in exchange for them?
Who wants to tackle that first? Honestly, a lot of projects kind of get into what Sonic Labs can do for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it's what you can do for the network. And one of the things that we're really pursuing is cross-chain arbitrages. We did an analysis of Sonic, and about 80% of the arbitrage flow was toxic, usually to Arbitrum and Base. So we're really just trying to just get that done in the opposite direction, where it's more positive towards Sonic. But it's any issues that, or maybe any concerns or any recommendations that I've ever had, I've always just messaged them internally, and they've always been either receptive to it or it's something they've already started to work on. a lot of the times I'll bring something up and they're already working on it. So typically, it doesn't matter if you do have a recommendation or not. It's just how receptive the network you're building on is, and they're absolutely wonderful with that.
Yeah, actually, not much thing to say to elaborate on this. Actually, truly agree. I think that shows by the fact that there is some Sonic team members in every chat we got with other apps or whatsoever. So I think from my personal experience, the only thing I've struggled a lot with was working with OBL on the calculations of point system, etc., etc. But I think that's a system that is pretty new, and they are giving a lot of new thing on this, so it just gotta get streamlined, and the process will smoothen, of course, for season 2 or whatsoever.
Yeah, it's hard to me now to think of some criticism. We are not receiving gems from them to saying this. It's like really, but yeah, until now, like everything has been worked as we wanted, as we have requested. So like let's maybe circle back to this question on next panel.
Right.
Yeah, so obviously the human layer is very important. So like having like relationships with the Sonic Labs Foundation members, Sonic Labs members has been great. But I think like ultimately they've spent a lot of time kind of building a incentive structure that basically gives builders all the tools that they need in order to thrive on Sonic without like their like hand-holding of projects. So I very much kind of echo $24, like what he says about how like, you know, now it's just about like builders thinking about how they can contribute to the chain, like increase transaction volume, bring TVL, and better provide a better user experience for their target audience.
Great, so no criticisms. Well done to the Sonic Labs team, if any of you are in the room.
They also provide the best food at such events, so that's been a
the
pleasure.
schnitzel was great outside.
I mean, obviously that comes into the next part of the conversation, and that is fee monetization and the importance thereof. And it's like a lot of people who are on the outside would look at it and see it as kind of like this bribe aspect. And after having spent the last couple of days with you guys and interacting with obviously a lot of builders, it seems to be quite the opposite. And I wanted to just get kind of like your perspective on how you are approaching fee monetization in terms of how you're rewarding your users. You've obviously alluded to it early on in our conversation, but I'm just interested to see whether you are providing like different layers into the whole thing and bringing a sense of community into it, and what that looks like from your perspective.
I mean, for us, it's quite easy with what to do with it. We already have an incentive structure built into our protocol. We just provide it as vote incentives. But one thing to note, at least maybe I'm not speaking for my own project here, but it gives builders the option to build their product without having to tokenize, without having to, work for revenue. Because, if you're generating a couple grand every week, that could be enough to make sure everything is done and you're not forced or rushing into tokenizing your product to try and generate revenue. It gives builders just another option where, hey, I'm going to build a performant app, and if a lot of people use it, then we'll be able to earn from VM without having to, go into anyone's pockets or have to tokenize or deal with predatory VCs. And for us, we have a really simple internal structure or incentive structure where we can throw these rewards. But another aspect is how you maximize it as well. I bring it up all the time. We can run a lot of our bots continuously. We do our dynamic fee updates every 2 to 5 seconds just to keep our liquidity as productive as possible. And we wouldn't be able to do that if we had to pay enormous gas fees and gas transactions, as well as our MEV offerings as well. It just makes a lot of that stuff easier and a lot stress-free, like a lot more stress-free without having to worry about, I need to top up the gas, and should I be spamming this as often as I should be? Like on other networks, dynamic fee changes can happen every 30 minutes to an hour. On Sonic, we're pushing it in seconds. So I'm very thankful for it. It gives us an additional flywheel, and I think it's an amazing thing for builders.
Amazing insight, thank you.
Yeah, I also think it's all come down to also composability. You know, we've been working around with mostly on lending, etc., for assets. And what's interesting is our values at Rings is we've been trying to internalize it maximum, like don't have a fee leakage, just redistribute maximum of it to our community. So then don't rely on curators and stuff. And I think the way it is. The way the products are offered, the way the composability is enhanced on Sonic, it enables us to achieve actually our goals, to be pretty much independent while still having a big accent on composability. So yeah, it's definitely for me the biggest part.
Yeah, for us, the approach to VM is a bit different. Obviously, it's a very good incentive, and you can incentivize your community and whatnot. But we are doing around it. We are building a auction market for VM. So basically, projects can auction their future incentives. It's very important, especially for the projects who are not yet bootstrapped with liquidity. So they can get like instant cash flow, and then who participate in the auction can then profit when the auctions like incentives kick in. So we wanted to kind of make it a bit more liquid and make it like a bit more efficient for the participants.
Yeah, I love that idea, and I think there will be markets upon markets that will develop from that, and it's going to be really an interesting experiment to see unfold.
As Mark from Pyth mentioned earlier, I think the VM program really allows us to kind of transfer these benefits to the user. It allows protocols to kind of design cheap user experiences where they can just focus on providing the service without having to worry about the fees. For us as well, because we basically have to, we built and we're operating a behemoth cross-chain infrastructure. We span across 13 different chains, both EVM and non-EVM. We are across 7 different technical stacks. So this means that there's a lot of operational costs involved with this. And in order to provide the best user experience, like our intents and solvers solution, also kind of there is a lot of risk assumed from our side to provide the best experience that we can, a seamless native experience for users when they're trying to do stuff cross-chain. And so, yeah, obviously the VM, like the revenue kind of, supported by the VM program is a huge positive for us.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes left. I hopefully have left the best for last, and that is a discussion that's been ongoing, I think, for probably most of the cycle, and that is institutions and their participation in this industry. We've seen, obviously, Bitcoin being obviously the king trade of the cycle, but then there's all that capital that's sitting supposedly on the sidelines. I'm very curious as to whether you guys have focused on the institutional side of things, and if you have, how are you guys building within the confines of Sonic to accommodate that liquidity that is possibly coming in already or is coming in?
I see us as a facilitator, either LPs or institutions putting money on Shadow, either projects that are trying to bring typical TradFi, BPS plates, yield-bearing stables, things like that, that I guess the broader traditional finance market is interested in. We just want to be the layer for them to, throw those incentives on Sonic and earn additional rewards on top of it with Shadow. So I just see us as a layer of foundation where teams like Rings can build on top of, Vita can do their vaults, teams like SODAX can do the cross-chain, I'm losing myself, but cross-chain stuff. I don't want to speak on your business, but essentially you just want to be the layer for everyone to build on top of, and whether it's institutions, whether it's traditional DeFi projects, we just want to be their foundation and their building block.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to onboarding institutional grade funding. So whether it is legal matters or even security or all that stuff, I think we are definitely moving forward that way. It's definitely the goal to onboard, because this is adoptions, mass adoptions. This is where it goes through. So yeah, I think it is the ultimate goal, but we're gonna advance step by step. We're gonna proof test everything, and yeah, that's the direction we're taking.
Right.
I think every protocol on Sonic.
Yeah, institutions, it's very interesting to us. It's on our like a long-term plan. Basically, how we view block space. We view block space as a commodity, and same as commodity as oil or natural gas or jet fuel or whatever. Companies and institutions who are interacting with those commodities, they hedge on the expense of it. And now when, for example, BlackRock is going around and tokenizing everything, like bonds and mortgages and whatnot, everything has to be pushed on chain. At some point, that commodity will be like hedgeable through us for those institutions.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, like this past week there was Token 2049, so there were a lot of like VCs and people from family offices. I think they've all kind of like echoed the same like sentiment, like they're interested in participating in like the DeFi sphere and like deploying capital on these products. So yeah, like we are providing the products and yeah, hopefully it attracts the liquidity.
Great, thanks guys. That brings us to the close of our panel. Appreciate the feedback and best of luck to everyone on the panel and out there who are building on Sonic. It's been great to get your stories and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Guys.
Thank you guys.